got a few ideas.
All right, and next up we have Francetta Mays. She's here with the NAACP here in Tulsa County, and we're thankful that she's going to speak. So here she is.
Well, we're here for another day, another tragic event, but we are aware of it, we're used to it, and we're accustomed to it because that's what we've allowed to happen. We've spent so much of our lives just not paying attention, not paying attention to the family members, not paying attention to the coaches and the teachers. I stand before you statistically because I've worked with Save Our Youth, which was an organization here in Tulsa that was, initiated with comedian Vellie Vale. He was very, very adamant about the protection of children. I've worked with bikers against child abuse, and child abuse is very personal for me. Child abuse is very personal for me. I was molested. I was also raped. I was also put in position where I was silenced. And as I stand here today, as a representative of the Tulsa NAACP, I stand here because we have laws that need to be changed here in Oklahoma. I stand here because it's time out for us to think that this is just a drill and it's okay. Because when those children get to a point where I have to go see them in the penitentiary, and I do, the problem is that post-traumatic stress disorder is something that the state of Oklahoma does not cover. We allow our children to be victimized and victims of a system that we know is wrong. We have case after case after case after case. But we're tired of having to come out on the front lines and just complain, especially when the reports have been filed and we have inadequacies in our court system, especially when we are the employees, we are the employers of the employees, and they are disrespecting the request of the people. So that's saying that, does your vote matter? Well, I say it does. The vote matters, but there's not enough people out here on the front lines. There's not enough voices being heard to matter. So I'm gonna challenge each person to come out. There's little boys and little girls that's even watching right now that have been affected in your lives at some point by an uncle, a daddy, a sister, maybe a mother or a father that have stolen your innocence. And as a pastor of the Going Hard for Christ Church here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I have to nurture the wounds of those that are lost, that are stolen, that have had stolen identities. I did say that I've had to come and take this stand because I was also a victim of child molestation by a family member. So to ask where was mother, to ask where was my grandmother is not fair. But to ask why our judicial system doesn't take a stand for children, that's a fair question. To ask how about 5 years ago, I had to deal with a young lady here in Bixby, Oklahoma. She wasn't a black girl. She was a white girl that had been sexually assaulted by her neighbor for 6 years. He started on her when she was 10. When she was 6, and he tried it with her cousin. The cousin reported it. And the little girl ended up having to go into Parkside Mental Hospital because the man, the 60-year-old man in Bixby, Oklahoma, had groomed this young lady for sex, and she thought he was her boyfriend. So at the point that we had to step in and be a part of her life and her recovery, and praise God, I was at her baptism years later. But the trauma that that young lady had to go through, and I personally went into the district attorney's office. I personally told them what their statutes and their laws are in the state of Oklahoma, and they made a statement to me that I needed to leave the room. Okay, they never put this man in jail, in prison, but I also had to sit here as an NAACP representative in this courtroom a couple of months ago. When I came, there was a black male that had been accused of rape. When I sat in this courtroom, the evidence was not as significant as the white girl out in Bixby. The black guys got 60 years. Oklahoma, I've been silent, trying not to have to step out and really deal with this racism card. But it's not the people that's in office that's the problem. It's the individuals here in Oklahoma that sit back and let a few people take a stand for a whole city when you know that you have an issue. It's time that we stand. This is not a drill. As a pastor, I can tell you what the problem is. We've allowed our pride, our arrogance, and we began chasing money. We began chasing status, social status, and we began getting embarrassed about that was my relative. When the truth anyhow is that a child will grow up one day. And for all those children that feel silenced, all those children that are grown-ups right now, all of those children that you've had to live your whole life, and now you're married to a child that had their identity stolen. I'm here today to tell you, speak up, speak out, go back and get the little boy or the little girl that needs you now. Come out and support some of these organizations that's really out here trying to be a bridge, because it's a very scary place to be violated. It's a very scary place not to know the right words to identify with what's going on in your mind and in your body. It's a very scary place when you see mama kissing on the molester. It's a very scary place when you know that daddy is a pedophile and he's continuing to do it, and you keep seeing it happen over and over again, and that's why we're here today. It would be this is personal. This is personal. This is personal. We cannot allow children to be put back into the custody of people that we haven't made sure have the right help for themselves, because we know that hurt people hurt people. And unless you give people the tools that they need in order to heal from what's happened to them, this becomes a generational cycle and a generational curse. But our judicial system keeps putting a Band-Aid on the gunshot wound. They could keep putting a Band-Aid on the gunshot wound. And to take it a step further, it depends on what color you are. Depending on what color you are, the amount of time you get. It depends on whether or not your nationality fits their code of ethics, or how much time you get. There's a young lady here that's fighting right now. DHS has said that she was unfit. The police barged in her room, Miss Tamara, I'm sorry, I forgot her last name, Fields, I believe it is. She's been fighting with DHS. Her children were taken away from her, and she was innocently in her home, taking care of her children. She's fighting right now, DHS, to get her children where she doesn't have to go through all of this child custody stuff. They have film where the police busted in her house and beat her. But this is our system. This is our system. So I just pray that each one of us can embrace our civic duty to rise up at a time such as this, and to allow our innate ability to see humanity, not black, not white, not male, not female, humanity. Humanity is what we've got to focus on right now. And today, Mr. Taylor, we're going to say that access is denied to these children. We're going to say access denied, Mr. Taylor. And state of Oklahoma, our employees, we're going to say that if you give him access, we're getting ready to turn up the heat a little bit. Today is dress rehearsal for us. Next time is showtime. My name is Francetta Mays. I'm with the NAACP, Tulsa, Oklahoma.